Hello, people. I wanted to take a moment to comment on the ongoing election politics in Uganda. What the President Yoweri Museveni has said is going to be a scientific election. Now, like anybody else, I'm also waiting to see how this scientific election will look like. It's even interesting to imagine a scientific election within a very chaotic political environment. It actually reminds me something about a book by Nanjara Nyabora, in which she talks about Kenya's digital elections and analog politics. So in Uganda as well, when you hear of a science or scientific, it's something systematic and organized and orderly. But Museveni is known to thrive in very chaotic political environment, so which makes it interesting to wait and see how scientific election looks like within these kinds of chaos. But that's not the point. My interest is in the kind of political discourse that is going on, especially from the opposition. Now, I have observed and followed keenly the goings on in Uganda, particularly since the Honorable Bobi Wine came into the scene, and his people power movement and the coalitions that they are, kind of trying to craft around the opposition movement in Uganda in an attempt to unseat President Yoweri Museveni, who is in power, who has been in power since 1986. Now, having stayed in power for all this long, it's really going to be difficult, and it's a tall order to unseat him, especially because he has entrenched himself. He has ensured that he really has the grip of that country. And Dr. Kizza Besigye knows this. He has attempted this several times, and we know what has happened to him. So even as the opposition, led by Bobi Wine and others, are attempting to try this time around to see if they can unseat Yoweri Museveni, there is this huge feeling that Museveni should go. There are many people feel it's time for change. Even for the basic of reasons, if somebody's been in power for over 3 decades, it's a long time. Generally people would want to see some change, and it's reasonable to have those kinds of aspirations and expectations. But my worry is that while there's this overwhelming need and desire and a push for change and a push to have Museveni gone, there does not seem to be a very strong post-Museveni agenda that is coming out of the opposition groups. The only other person I've heard, mention something about what do we do after Museveni is the Honorable Muntu, who at some point said, it's one thing to have Museveni away or, out of power, but yet another to really, organize a Uganda after Museveni. And other than that, I do not seem to see a very clear, well-crafted, well-communicated in a manner that's accessible to a majority of the people agenda on post-Museveni Uganda. And this is a worry because we have many cases, around the world and across Africa where societies and countries are plunged into serious political turmoil after some of these strong men and dictators have been hounded out of power. So as I watch the goings on in Uganda, I feel like the opposition needs to be come out a little bit more strongly, frame the post-Museveni agenda, frame it in a manner that is accessible, and then communicate it. We need to know. We need to understand what it is that they want to do after Museveni. How do they want to organize Uganda after Museveni? What is it that they are going to do that is different? How do we then, hold them to account should they succeed in having Museveni out of power? And how do they, should they succeed to have him out of power, how will they handle the transition? Suppose he refuses to leave power, what do you do about it? Suppose he leaves the power, but he demands some things. Or suppose he makes some, demands for him to leave power. What do we do about that? And beyond that, what then do we do when he is actually out of power? I feel that these are pertinent issues and that we shouldn't shy away from them. We should have this discourse, and the opposition need to come out forcefully and strongly and communicate, their own views and their own aspirations around this whole post-Museveni organization of Uganda agenda. Thank you.